What is up, everybody? We are back here again talking about the brand new update in the Hunter Call of the Wild. The developers have released a developer diary on the game feeder pack, kind of talking about each feeder individually and, what you'll be able to do with them. So I figured, let's check it out. Now, normally I would just play the footage from the trailer in the background and talk about it, but I wanted to do a little bit different today. We're actually going to react to the trailer and then pause and talk about each individual thing they mention in it. So let's go ahead and dive into it. Let's see what they're talking about with this first little segment. Okay, before they even get into it, I gotta say, I'm already seeing some really cool looking shots. I mean, that looks pretty sick right there. Being able to use these feeders to attract animals out into the open in areas where they would normally, be pretty covered in brush. If you look, it seems like these deer are coming from a very brushy part of Layton Lakes, and they're being led out into a much more open area. And I think that's going to be the biggest use for these feeders, is to get deer kind of out into the open where you want them, which is going to be really cool. Now let's continue on with it.
Hi, my name's Chris. I'm an experienced game designer on the Hunter Call of the Wild, and I'm here to give you some tips on our new feature, Game Feeders. The Game Feeder Pack is a collection of 3 different game feeders that will each help you take your hunt to the next level by attracting specific animal species to the locations you choose. The box feeder is great for deer and deer-like animals.
So before we get any further in this, I want to go back and take a look at this again, because that just looks so cool, man. I'm such a huge fan of the way they're doing these feeders. Not only do they look pretty realistic, but they also look just really good in game. This is so nice to see. I am really excited for, I think, particularly the bear one, because something that we've always done in the Hunter Classic is using the bear bait barrels and also the hog feeders. And it seems like this one right here is going to be used for those types of animals, which is really, really cool. Big fan of that off the rip. And I just really hope that they can attract a large number of animals as well. Because I don't even know if there's any type of limitation on how many animals can go to one feeder. Could I have 10, 15 bears show up at one feeder if there's that many that cross that area? Hopefully, that would be pretty incredible.
The box feeder is great for deer and deer-like animals. You'd only dispense this feed when an animal actually eats from it, so you won't need to fill it up as often.
That right there is going to be the key point with the box feeder. The fact that it does attract deer type species and it only dispenses feed if they're actually eating from it. That's going to save people a lot of money on refilling it with feed. But as we'll see later in this trailer right here, and as we have seen in the previous trailer, those can get destroyed by bears. So that's going to be the little downside to it, is there's more chances it's going to get destroyed by a bear. So I guess you take the good with the bad.
The post feeder is great for attracting many other kinds of animals to a location, since it dispenses food at regular intervals.
Honestly, I feel like I'm going to be using this one a lot right here. I do think the box feeder is going to be pretty popular among a lot of people, but I feel like this post feeder right here, this might fit my playstyle a little bit better, because I won't have to worry about the bears destroying it, and I'll be able to just, fill it up every couple days, not worry about a thing, because it's going to be automatically dispensing feed, and it's going to be way out of the reach of the bears. And as you can see, moose are attracted to it, so that's already pretty huge, because I am currently in the middle of a moose grind. And anything that I could possibly do to get some of those solo moose to go to one area so I can manage them down would just be lovely, would be incredible.
Depending on the feed, hogs, deer, and other animals will eat off the ground, as long as you remember to keep it full.
Okay, that's actually really cool. Seeing a gemsbok go for a feeder is amazing. I cannot wait to try out these feeders on Africa. Virunga Savannah might be one of the coolest places to use these game feeders. Definitely interested to see what other species it would be able to attract outside of gemsbok. I would imagine stuff like the springbok would probably go to it. Kudu probably would. I don't think a lion would, but hey, you never know.
Full. Even hungry animals won't use game feeders if they never find them, so choosing the right location is key.
That is a pretty key point that he just mentioned right there. These feeders, you won't be able to just place them anywhere. Like, you do need to make sure that animals at least go through that area. Like, if you place it on the top of a mountain, you're not going to get a bunch of animals going a full kilometer up the mountain just so that they can get to the feeder. It's got to be at least an area where animals do pass through that spot. And if you guys remember back to the dev Q&A that I made a whole video on, check it out if you haven't already. They talked about the fact that animals that pass within like 400 meters are going to be attracted to the feeders. Let's continue the trailer and see what else we see.
But the best hunters leverage their knowledge of both the environment and the wildlife they are targeting to make the most out of feeder placement.
Wait, what was that right there? Hold up, hold on. This is on Hirschfelden. Is that a red deer? It would have to be a red deer if this is Hirschfelden, because this is clearly Hirsch. I mean, there's no other map this could be. Or is this Leighton? You know what? Yeah, I think this is a red deer.
Feeder placement. For example.
Yeah, I mean, I guess, because right after more red deer were shown, that is clearly a red deer hind right there that looks identical. Obviously, they're getting reworked. We've already been told they're going to be getting reworked. And they showed the reworked red deer off in the last trailer. It seems like they're showing them off again. Because at first I was like, whoa, is that a black-tailed deer on Leighton Lakes? But no, I forgot. They gave them a rework and they've been showing off the reworked ones in these trailers. So that was definitely a red deer. And I'll be honest, that red deer looked different than normal. That did not look like a normal fur type for the red deer. Was that like the new albino, or did they finally add leucistics in? It's really hard to tell from the trailer, but I mean, this guy right back here, that looks very different than what we are used to seeing for the red deer. Either that's a remodeled albino or it's something new.
To make the most out of feeder placement. For example, you might want to place a feeder where you know animals have previously travelled between need zones. And you'll want to find a spot that's out in the open where you can watch from afar and strike when the time is right.
Gosh, that just looks so cool. It is going to be so awesome to sit up in a stand, especially some of those pre-built stands that nobody ever uses because typically no animals go by them. We'll finally be able to set up a feeder and just chill in those pre-made hunting stands and actually have some good stuff show up, hopefully. That is really awesome, and I am so excited to see what we can do with these feeders, man.
You can choose between two different types of feed to use in the standard feeders. Choosing high protein feed will attract all kinds of deer and deer-like animals, while the multi-grain flake mix will attract hogs, antelope, and smaller types of deer.
Okay, that's actually really interesting. So hogs, antelope, smaller types of deer for the flakes, and then for the protein, the high protein mix, you'll get mainly like deer species and stuff. Let's listen to that again. I need to make sure I didn't miss anything there.
Feeders. Choosing high protein feed will attract all kinds of deer and deer-like animals.
So deer and deer-like animals, so any of your run-of-the-mill deer, mule deer, blacktail, whitetail, moose are a type of deer. I would assume elk would be in that category too then. But I guess it's hard to say. I assume elk will be attracted to the same things that the deer are.
While the multi-grain flake mix will attract hogs, antelope, and smaller types of deer. If you've chosen well, animals will remember your feeder, traveling long distances when it's time to eat again.
Gosh, that is such a beautiful sight right there, seeing so many red deer just surrounding a feeder. It's really, really cool, man. I can only imagine like some of the crazy stuff the community is going to be able to do with these feeders. Can you imagine you go to a lake? It's got like 3 different zones on it from the same species. You put it near that lake so they'll pass by it, and boom, you've got 3 herds of whitetail deer just around one feeder. I could see that being a really incredible sight.
Understanding their schedule makes all the difference. But keep an eye out for bears. All that food attracts these scavengers, who might come looking for a snack of their own, sometimes damaging the game feeders in the process.
This is what we were talking about earlier, how this box feeder can get damaged by the bears. But honestly, like, it looks so cool that I probably will want to see it a couple times just for the heck of seeing it. So we'll definitely be like diving into all the little details and stuff the second that we're able to play this, because there's so many cool little features that they've done with these feeders that are going to make them not only useful, but pretty immersive as well.
damaged game feeders need to be rebuilt before.
Oh, that is so cool. So as you can see, it's got the little like bag thing next to it that you would have on like a tent or a tree stand or something that you're going to pick up. And with the existing stuff in the game, that's where you would pick it up. I assume that for this, that's going to be where you repair it. Let's keep going and see if that's talked about a little bit.
They can function again. But thankfully, there's the bait barrel feeder, which when placed properly, can help the bears and hogs stay busy at one location, leaving other animals free to eat from your other feeders. So, while it might seem simple, mastering game feeders means utilizing your knowledge of the wildlife's natural behavior.
So from what we just heard there, it seems like if you want to keep the bears away from your box feeders, you just give them a feeder nearby, which honestly, that's a pretty good idea as well. Obviously, that kind of makes it so that if you want to use the feeders for, like, let's say a Great One grind, you're going to have to decide, do I use the feeders, the post feeder that drains food really fast, or do I sacrifice the amount of box feeders by also putting down some bear bait barrels? Because you can only have 8 total feeders on each map. So if you want to have 8 feeders dedicated to one species, you're going to either have to use the post feeders, or you're going to make the sacrifice of using the box feeders so you don't have to replace the feed as much, but they'd get destroyed by bears every once in a while. And if you wanted to use those box feeders and not have them get destroyed, you'd have to sacrifice the amount of box feeders you're using by placing a few bait barrels down as well to keep the bears at bay. Honestly, that's going to make things really, really interesting.
Keeping your feeder safe and full of feed, and being patient. When it all comes together and the perfect moment finally arrives, be sure that your shot counts.
Another look at the reworked red deer, looking absolutely beautiful.
The game feeder pack will be available on October 21st. We hope that you enjoy using them on your hunts.
All right, October 21st, we will be getting the game feeder pack. Hope you guys enjoyed this little deep dive into the developer diary, taking a look at all the little fine details and stuff, talking about each of the feeders and stuff. And if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel, as well as leaving a comment down below and hitting that like button before you go. If you have the option to hype up the video, be sure to do so. It's a new feature that helps out small channels greatly, and I really would appreciate it. I'll see you all in the next one. Peace!